Hey guys, welcome back to TripleLRusticDesigns. First off, I want to thank you so much for helping us grow our channel to over 40,000 subscribers. We hope you continue to enjoy all of our content. Today, we're going to be testing out our new custom branding iron from the Custom Brand Shop. Check it out.
So we're here at our shop today and we're going to be testing out our new custom branding iron. This branding iron is from the Custom Brand Shop, and I'm going to put a link to their website in the description below. I'll also include an affiliate link to this product, so if you are looking to purchase a branding iron and you click that link, it'll actually help out our channel. So this branding iron is 1.5 inch by 1.5 inch, and the prices start at $69 and go up from there. You can also include a standard handle for $10, and it actually is really nice. So this branding iron doesn't have its own heat source, so we're going to be using a torch to heat up the end so that way we can test out the brand. You can see here next to me that I've got 3 different pieces of wood. One of the pieces is pine, one of the pieces is oak, and the other piece is red cedar. Since we just got this branding iron and we haven't gotten to play with it yet, we're going to be testing it out on these 3 different species of wood, and we're going to figure out what is the best temperature and the best amount of time to hold it on each piece of wood to get the best results. Once we figure out the best temperature and hold time, we're going to use the iron to brand these 3 cutting boards that we've made in the past here at our shop. So right now Zoe's behind the camera, but here in a second she's going to jump in front and she's going to be testing out this new branding iron. I'm really excited to see how it turns out.
Okay, so I'm going to start with this pine here. I'm going to heat up the branding iron to about 200 degrees and hold it on the wood for about 5 seconds, and we'll see how it turns out. Okay, so our first attempt didn't turn out dark enough, so I'm going to heat it up again to about 250 degrees and hold it on the wood for about 7 seconds. That was awesome. Okay, so our second attempt turned out perfect. It's really even and dark, but as you saw on the temperature gauge, it got up to about 700 degrees. So this next attempt, we're gonna ditch the temperature gauge and we're gonna just count how long we hold the flame on. So I'm gonna hold it on for about 7 seconds and then put the iron on the wood for about 7 seconds. Okay, that barely even showed up on the wood, so 7 seconds was definitely not long enough. I'm gonna try 10 seconds this time. Well, that one turned out really nice, but I put the brand upside down. Okay, so I actually liked that one better than this really dark one. So I think holding the flame on the iron for about 10 to 11 seconds and then holding the iron on the wood for about 7 seconds is the right combination. All right, so we're gonna try that combination a couple more times until we perfect it, and then we'll move on to the next wood. This seems to be a trial and error process, but I think we found a good combination on the pine, so I'm gonna move on to the next wood and we'll try the oak. I'm gonna try the same combination we did on the pine, on the oak, so holding the flame to the iron for about 11 seconds and then the iron on the wood for about 7 seconds. Okay, so that turned out pretty nice, but because the oak is much denser than the pine, I think we're gonna need to get the branding a little bit hotter. So that attempt, I held the flame on the iron for about 15 seconds, and I think that's too hot. So that really imprinted the branding into the wood, but it would need a light sanding to clean it up a little bit. So I'm gonna keep trying this out until I can find the perfect combination, and this time, I'm gonna try 12 seconds.
So as you saw, that one turned out pretty good. As we're experimenting with this, it almost seems like when the wood starts to smoke, that seems like it's burning properly. Using the temperature gauge would work perfectly, but it's hard to heat up the end of this, shoot the temperature on it. Like as you're shooting the temperature on it, you're watching the temperature drop significantly. So then to put it onto the wood, it's actually really like finicky, hard process. As far as the brand, I'm super happy. The brand looks awesome, but when it comes to the standard handle that doesn't have a heat source, that seems like the tricky part. See, now that one turned out really nice. It may need a light sanding to clean up a little bit of the burn around the edge, but the logo is imprinted into the wood and it looks really defined. I noticed that it seems like when we're getting these perfect logos, I'm noticing smoke coming from the board, so that's a key to pay attention to. And I'm also noticing as I'm heating up the brand, it's turning more of like a purple color. So one of the identifiers of the proper heat level is when the brand starts getting a little bit of red, purple color. I've noticed that that's producing good logos as well. I'm gonna go get some water and we're gonna try putting water on the board and then branding it and see how that turns out. See, now that one turned out way too dark. The logo is really imprinted into the wood, but there's too much burning, so it doesn't look clean. So that turned out really nice on one side of the brand, but I didn't push down on the other side enough, so it didn't brand the board. All right, that one turned out perfect. And that was actually with using the water on the board too. I almost think that the water on the wood helps prevent some of that like burning from around the edge. So that was very close to a nice burn on that one. It's a little dark and I didn't press evenly on all sides. All right, so that one turned out too dark as of right now, but I want to try something. I'm going to get the sander and I'm going to hit it with a light sanding and see how it turns out. All right, so it looks like we may be onto something. So that one at first looked like it was way too burnt, like we had pressed it on there too hard and too hot. But after I hit it with the light sanding, it really exposed that logo nice and imprinted into the wood. So what I'm gonna do is get the brand really hot again, and I'm gonna press it into the wood. Almost seems like I'm over burning it, and then I'm gonna lightly sand it and see if it turns out perfect. All right, so you could tell on that one, really burnt the crap out of it there. It's super dark, you can barely read the words because of all the burn around the logo. But what I'm gonna do is hit it with that sander, and because it really burned the logo into the wood, I think once I sand it, it's gonna expose it perfectly. So sanding it really brought back the detail in the logo. I think that one was still a little bit too hot, but that's a good thing to keep in mind, that it's probably better to overburn the logo than to underburn the logo, because if you overburn it, you can easily just sand it a little bit and get it to come back. If you underburn it, then you're gonna have to try and like put the brand back exactly perfect where you had it, and there's no way you're gonna be able to line it up perfectly. So that's a good thing that we just learned.
All right, cedar is a lot less dense than oak, so I have a feeling we won't need to get the branding iron nearly as hot as we did for the oak board. Okay, so that turned out pretty good, but I think I still need to get the branding iron a little bit hotter. And I'm going to try over in this corner here where it's a little bit more stable. That one turned out really good, but I should have put more even pressure along the whole logo. So that one turned out pretty much perfect. I'm going to try it a couple more times and see if I can replicate it. All right, I feel like we've had enough practice, so we're going to try to brand one of these old cutting boards. All right, so this is an oak cutting board. I'm going to wet it and see if I can get the perfect brand. I'd say that turned out pretty dang good. All right, I'm gonna brand these last two old cutting boards and we're gonna wrap this up. That one, not so much. It seems like I didn't heat the middle of the logo hot enough, so it didn't fully come out in the middle. I'll try on this one.
Bottom side.
That one turned out pretty perfect. I made sure to press down on all sides of the branding iron evenly, and as you can see, there's a lot of smoke coming from that one. What a good way to wrap this up.
All right, so through this process, here's what we figured out. We started out trying to use the temperature gauge to figure out what temperature to heat the brand up to, and that just seemed too hard. You would take the temperature, and by the time you took the flame off of it, the temperature started dropping significantly. So that didn't work. Then we tried using the torch and heating up the brand for about 10 seconds, and that was working better than trying to take the temperature, but the problem is if you didn't wait long enough before testing the brand on something else, the brand was already too high in temperature, causing it to produce darker burns on the wood. So that didn't really work out either. So what we ultimately figured out was that if we use the torch, heat up the branding iron until it turned kind of like a red purple color, like you can feel the heat coming off of it knowing that it's getting hot enough. And then when we pressed it on the wood, if you got a light smoking, not too much smoking, but a light smoking, it was what produced the best logos. If you're not getting any smoking at all when you put it on the wood, it's probably not hot enough and you're not going to get a good brand. After going through this process, a couple things that I want to note. The custom brand shop made us a beautiful brand. Like, it is absolutely perfect. The definition of the words, The axe between the trees, all of that turned out super nice. So thank you, Custom Brand Shop, for making us this logo, making us this brand, and sending it over to us to try out. If you're just looking for a starting custom brand that you can get, a decent brand, I would recommend purchasing one of these $69 standard branding irons from the Custom Brand Shop. Now, if you're pumping out cutting boards and charcuterie boards and you want the perfect even brand every single time, I would recommend upgrading to the electric model that they sell. So once again, thank you, Custom Brand Shop, for sending us this branding iron and customizing it for our shop. It turned out really nice and we really appreciate it. For any of you watching that would like to purchase your own custom branding iron, I have a link in the description below. If you click it, it also is affiliated to our channel, so it helps us out a little bit. So one last thing before we go, I know some of you have noticed the shirt that I'm wearing. So this is called Hook a Hero, and it's a charity that gives back to first responders. The charity takes first responders out hunting and fishing to give back to them for all they do for our community. I'm gonna put a link to the website in the description below. If you'd like to find out more information, go ahead and head over to the website and it'll tell you all about it.
Thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for all of our future videos.
If you don't understand what that does, by pressing that thumbs up button, it tells the YouTube algorithm that people like this video, and the YouTube will send out the video to more viewers.
Also, we have another channel called Home Between the Oaks, where we build our farmhouse and work on our property. Everyone keeps asking about our Instagrams, so we'll link those in the description below. See you next time.